Hi, and welcome to Kukosha Konversations. This is the first of the videos that we'll be having. We're in Nairobi, Kenya, which I'm very excited about. Kukosha Konversations is really a chance for African women to speak about things that they think matter, things that they love, things that make them angry, things that frustrate them, and things that bring them joy. And what we're doing today is really having a conversation about the things that we think matter. The topic for today is feminism, love, and power. So keep watching, and thank you. Okay, so to kick us off, hi. Thank you so much for joining me on Kukosha Conversations. So we'll go around and everyone can say their name, introduce yourself, where you're from, and what are you about.
Well, I'm Nodumo, but you can just call me Dumo. I am from Zimbabwe, and I am, what I'm about, a lot of things. Very much into fostering development in the creative industry, but particularly aiming that development towards emerging creatives who have not yet had kind of opportunities to really break through and make a sustainable income out of their creativity. I'm also an educator, and I also work with UN albinism in particular, doing a lot of albinism awareness work.
Hi, my name is Hellen Abatoni. I'm from Rwanda, but I'm currently based here in Nairobi. What am I about? A lot of things, but I would say understanding the role of an African woman in a political sphere that is mainly male-dominated. How do we break down the males, how can I call it? How do we break down the men's club and bring in our views as women and policies that are going to change how we live?
Okay, hi, my name is Stacy Kirui. My pronouns are she, her. And what I'm about is, I guess in the spirit of feminisms, as that's what we're talking about today, and in the conversations of freedoms, I'm about freedom work that centers healing, especially for Black women, and that recenters joy and love and laughter and all these good things that patriarchal societies and ideals take from us.
Hi, my name is Brenda Wambui. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I am a writer, a podcaster, and someone who's focused on having conversations around social politics and active citizenship, and interrogating the role that the Kenyan gets to play in their own governance and how they can claim back their power.
Okay, so to kick us off, we'll speak about feminism first. So the first question I have is, what is it that drew you to feminism, if that can even be a thing? Is there something specific about it? Is there an experience you had? Is it somebody that you knew? Is it something that you came across as you were reading? What was it that made you think, okay, this is the path that I'm actively going to take?
Oh, me first?
Anyone first.
Well, I think for me, it's a mix of different things. I think first of all, I would say a gut feeling, primarily driven by a very strong awareness that I was just very restricted. I just felt really restricted in my actions, even the smallest of actions, my mannerisms, in my mode of expression, in the conversations I could have, in the ways or the extent to which I could explore my sexuality. And feminism just sounded like freedom. And for me, being educated about feminism, and I mean in a very kind of strict academic context, really, for me, it really reinforced these ideals that I had always felt, and it gave me words for this feeling of freedom that I had always yearned for.
For me, I think my first encounter with feminist thinking was when I was 4, and it wasn't the most ideal situation. It was my cousin and I sitting on a fence, so wearing shorts, wearing shorts, and then the little boy who lived across. So this fence was between our house and the neighbor's house. So the boy who lived across from us came out and told us, "What are you you guys doing on the fence? Girls are not supposed to sit on the fence like that, and they're not supposed to wear shorts. So I was very quickly about to get off the fence, and then my cousin, who's like just a month older than me, told me, no, we're not getting off the fence, we're sitting here. And we sat there until 6. Yeah, we sat there the whole afternoon and refused to get down. And then since then, my life has just always been a refusal of these constraints that have been put on me. And then I remember when I was 15, and I think I was just like the biggest nerd in high school because I used to read the dictionary for fun. So I came across the word feminism.
Right, can you get that off of the... That's the level of nerd that we have.
So I came across feminism in the dictionary, and then it was, belief in, women and men being socially, politically, and economically equal. And I was like, yeah, so I'm a feminist. And that, since then, that was that. Yeah. And since then, at least it was just, something that you've always known about yourself, but then you didn't have the words, you didn't have the language. Then I had a word, then I had the language. And since I was 15, I have identified as a feminist.
Okay, I'll go. For me, it wasn't that I knew what feminism was. It was more of, okay, I want to go for debates, I want to attend a conference, but it's mainly a lot of young men there. But how do I get in? Why am I feeling uncomfortable? Why don't I like this? And so the more I grew up and also moved from high school to university, and then you get into the workplace, you realize that there are a lot of barriers that exist, and they only apply to you as a woman. So it makes you angry. And to me, feminism is about finding a solution to my anger that is caused by the restrictions within the system that we as women live in.
Okay, I think there's like 2 parts to this question. There's, you've always been practicing feminism, but then when did you get the language, and when did you get the understanding, and when did it become a political identity, and when did I claim it? So that particular moment, we were at my friend's house. It was my friend, her sister, and her mom. And I was rambling about God knows what. Probably that I hate men, because I always have. And so then my friend goes like, you're such a feminist. And I'm like, me? No, I'm not. And then, so then the mom goes like, but what's wrong with being a feminist? And I'm like, you're right, sis. What's wrong with being a feminist? And since that moment, I just started identifying as one.
Yeah. And would you say that there are some common kind of misconceptions that you face? I mean, obviously there are. But what would you say was the most jarring for you as you went on your journey in terms of the misconceptions people had about what was associated with feminism and what it meant for their interaction with you? Because often I think that's the one thing that I get, is that people, especially when you have a presence on Twitter and people see you tweeting about feminism and whatever, I meet people and their immediate reaction is, oh, I need to walk on eggshells around Vimbai because I don't know how do you interact with a feminist as if I'm an alien, as if I'm not hilarious, as if like I have nothing else, about me. So I think that's one of the challenges that I face, is that people just being reluctant to even try and understand you or even try and come to you and figure you out, simply because you've claimed this identity. So what would you say some of the things that are the most jarring things that you've experienced in that journey?
My answer is nothing, because feel that discomfort. If you feel like you can't speak to me because of this thing, you're probably not worth speaking to me, And I'm also not going to distance myself from all these labels that feminists have, bitter, angry, and so on and so forth. Because we are bitter and angry, because patriarchal standards are shit, and people are dying, and capitalism is killing us, and queer folk are not able to live. So yeah, I'm angry, I'm bitter. If that makes you uncomfortable, then stay right over there, hunty.
Yeah.
I think for me, I was gonna say what she said. I was just like, maybe that's not the best way for us.
For me, I was like,
so for me, I'm a very misanthropic person. Like, most times just like, don't talk to me. When you see me over there, just keep walking. You know what I mean? So when people say, because initially, I think it's been a journey. So since I was 15, initially I see this online sometimes, and I just want to hug these women because they're just like, maybe if we told them nicely, maybe if we told them what we want, you know, then they'll give us, yeah. And I was they'll give us. Obviously, they don't want to oppress us, so it's because we haven't asked nicely. So between 16 and I think 23, I was very busy telling people and asking nicely, and just, you know, there's actually an essay online, I think on The Guardian, quoting me saying that men can be feminists too, you know what I mean? Yeah, like I went through like, dude, we can run up and down hills, you know what I mean? Trying to tell people that, you know, all we want is to be able to exist freely in this space. Dude, it's like, I am done with that. Like, I think I was done with that at 24. And since then, I remember that day, I just woke up and I came on Twitter and I changed my name to The Bad Feminist, and it was there for like a year. And every time someone would come into my mentions with like, you hate men, and I'd be like, yes. Let's make this very quick. You know what I mean? Yes. So, and it's if that's what you've decided, and that's for me why I'm not interested in engaging in those conversations about, but we are nice, but we just want to exist, we just want to jog safely at 6 p.m. People know these things, and then they always use, so they'll use the first wave to discredit the second wave, the second wave to discredit the third wave of feminism. So right now you'll find that there's this red herring argument that goes on Twitter that, you know, we should take after first wave and second wave feminists, as if we don't have records of those women being called the same things we're being called now. So you keep your misconceptions. If they were able to do the things they were able to do, even with, you've seen those drawings of suffragettes looking like monstrous, and that's the same way we are characterized now. So it has been an incremental journey. People were mischaracterized, they still got what they needed to get. So enjoy yourself, waste your time. I'll be working.
and you know, if we're like at our 4th-ish, 5th-ish waves of feminism, and honestly you're still trying to ask us to talk to you nicely, you should have listened generations ago. Now we're not doing that.
I think for me, one of the greatest misconceptions that I kind of face is that people, I've just been in a lot of circles where I'm just really expected to be trying my best to blend in. And I think that does primarily come from the place of people recognizing that I am a woman with albinism. I think that the general expectations in a lot of formal and male-dominated settings is that I should just be trying to be part of the furniture, and I should just be very grateful and appreciative of the fact that I am given a platform in that space to begin with. But the thing is, I'm naturally a really vocal, very opinionated, very loud person. I'm naturally not the most diplomatic person, and these are parts of myself that I've been told for a long time that I should shun, or that I should kind of compartmentalize and save for the times when I am around the radical feminists, you know? But it's so exhausting to just fit into the patriarchal idea of how I should be. And so at some point, I'd say probably around 2015, 2016, at some point I just got so tired of wearing this nice girl mask, wearing this mask of the woman with albinism who is so grateful, above everything else, so grateful to be in whatever space that is. And I consider myself a noisemaker wherever I go, especially if I have every right to be making noise as and where I am. So I don't know, I've just rid myself of that misconception. If anybody has that image of me or of how I should be, then fuck them. I mean, I don't owe anybody that level of humanity. I don't even think that's humanity. That's my own, it's like self-repression, and I don't owe anybody that. I owe you basic human decency, and that's it. Yeah.
Any thoughts, Hellen?
I'd say I think you've all covered it, the negative portrayal and there's not even an understanding, poor labeling of what feminism is. So like you said at the beginning, when the friend called you such a feminist in such a bad way, you're like, no, that's not me. And for you to be called that, angry, an angry black woman, someone who's just irrational with whatever you're saying. You want bitter. You want the system to change, but you're just talking and talking and talking about it. So we can be angry. It's fine. It's okay. If you don't understand the struggle or whatever is going on, like you say, stay over there and let us do the job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think, there's a lot of kind of discussion around what feminism is and how feminists are acting and what feminist action looks like, especially in this moment. Social media helps a lot with that. Are there, and there always are, identities within kind of the feminist ring fence that we have excluded or haven't given enough time or space to really unpack and understand and figure out, or whatever you want to call it, who is in the conversation and who isn't, and how do we start making sure that as feminists we're doing ourselves the justice that we need to be doing. We're doing the work that needs to be as holistic, as inclusive as possible, because it's constant, right? Like what you were saying, it's an incremental kind of change. So each and every person goes through a different journey, but you get to a point and you think, oh, shit, I used to think this. Okay, I need to unlearn that. Like real quick, I just need to just take myself on the side and just take a deep breath, think about that, and then figure out why I thought this and why it's problematic and who I'm harming by thinking this. And how am I actively ensuring that I don't think this way. So what are the identities, what are the topics, who are the people, who are the voices that we haven't heard from or that we consistently don't do enough to highlight? What do you think about that?
I think just to start with, because what has happened for me to the feminist movement is that it has grown and expanded. So it's not just, so initially it was women fighting to vote, fighting to, own property, fighting to cis women, exactly.
It's always, it starts from there.
It started from there. And then now it keeps expanding. So those basic rights, and then of course sexual, like bodily and sexual autonomy. So at this moment, in which we would say is the fourth wave, I would say is a fourth wave, and in which we discuss feminism as an intersectional movement, where multiple social identities, and not personal identities, social identities intersect. So which social identities have been left out of feminism or have not been accorded equal, not equal space, but space even, So it's obviously the trans women, or even trans men, just trans people in general, trans people in general. There would be persons living with disabilities, So it's focusing on removing the focus from able-bodied people, from cisgender people, from heterosexual people, just basically that's why sometimes I like the word straight, because straight for me is not just about sexuality, it's just about all these, you know what I mean? The correct way to be, you know what I mean? So that's a straight person, So it's not just sexuality, it's just like you check all the boxes that society expects you to check, and that's why on the other side, how I would describe queer is not that, you know what I mean? Moving past those boundaries of what a straight person in this society is. So everybody that doesn't fit those categories, not cisgender, not heterosexual, not able-bodied, not, what else?
Not rich.
Not rich, because it's also a capitalist patriarchy, So those people, they're the people we need to bring into the fold and center, and not that thing where we say, we give our voice. I mean, people have already had this voice, so it's just about handing the mic.
I like what you said about handing the mic and then not hogging the mic and then speaking on behalf of the mic needs to pass. Like you need to actually just like let go of the mic and understand that it's not about your voice only being heard and you being able to control how you speak about other people and why or when you speak about those people. That's not it. It's about passing that mic.
And maybe just to add on a little to what you're saying, more than that, that thing of holding on to the mic, it comes from us, even within the feminist movement, kind of infantilizing these people and thinking that they're not doing any work for themselves, right? And thinking that we're their saviors and that their liberations are in our hands. And that's just never been the case, you know? It's historically proven that marginalized people are always the ones who revolt for themselves. So these people are organizing, sex workers are organizing, trans women are organizing, queer people are organizing. And it's just, I think, if you're moving from any point of privilege, what your work should be is asking them, what resources can I avail to you for the work you're doing? How can I be helpful? Because I personally, there's nothing I can really tell a trans woman, you know, there's nothing I can do for her. She's doing it all for herself. And if I really want to be an ally, and to the, you know, to the full extent of the meaning of allyship, it's to hear from her what she needs. And
I think also adding on to what both of you have said, we tend, right now, there's an assumption that because of social media as well, like you said, that feminism is about intellect, is about how well you're able to package the language and use it to show the oppressor that, you know, you're educated, yes. But then as we do that, we need to be careful to include every single woman, all the identities that you mentioned. If a woman who's not educated should be able to identify themselves within the movement and know that you're fighting for the same thing. So we need to be careful about that. And also, so like an African woman who has been educated, who has been, who has different opportunities, you have to look at the same African woman in the village who doesn't have those opportunities. How do I pass the mic on to them and let them speak about the challenges that they're facing and see how we can also include in the message that we're trying to give.
Absolutely.
No,
I was gonna say I think it's all been covered.